Want to see something cool? This is the Tarantula Nebula in the Large Magellanic Cloud, seen only in the southern hemisphere, but we took this image from the northern hemisphere thousands of kilometers away. My friends Dave, Chris, and I got together and rented a telescope down in South Africa, specifically the Kagakama Reserve Observatory. It's only been a few weeks and we're already talking about extending our short-term lease. South Africa is considered down under, right? And only a few weeks in, I'm convinced that we are living in the wrong hemisphere. So I'm sure somebody in Australia feels the same way. So if you want to swap lives for a little bit, let me know. Our government is doing great. Going back to the Tarantula Nebula, this was taken with the ASCAR SQA85 QHY268C color camera and Antlia 5nm dual narrowband filter from the Kagakama Remote Observatory. We hesitated a little bit going with a color camera instead of a monochrome camera because we felt like maybe it's a waste not going mono in a Bortle 1 zone. But the only option we had for a monochrome camera was a 585 sensor, and we wanted as wide of a field of view as possible to try and capture as much of the southern skies as we could during this short-term rental. And after seeing images come in, we have zero regrets because the bigger IMX571 sensor gives us the field of view that we are looking for. And since this is a short-term rental, we are renting the rig, there's always the opportunity to try monochrome later on. Our goal right now is to try and capture as much of the night sky down in the southern hemisphere as we could. And some of the things I love about the skies down there is, first, when we take these images, there is no light pollution gradient in any of the images. We don't expect that much in dual narrowband filter images, but when we look at the RGB images, no filters, there's no gradients. And living in Boston, in Bortle, 8 skies at best, I can always tell you which way the ground is by looking at one of my photos. With the dual narrowband filter, we're pushing 10-minute exposures. We could probably do a lot more if we wanted to, but we're sticking with 10 minutes in order to minimize losing frames because of clouds or haze or something else. And for color images without a filter, we are pushing 5 minutes, which is something that I've never done on a color camera. The most I can do at home is 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes at most before things start to wash out. And with RGB, I'm sure we can go to 10 minutes, but I have to get used to 5 minutes first. Another great thing about this specific observatory, the Kagakama Reserve Observatory, is that it's 1,200 meters above the sea level. So it's above a lot of the gooey atmosphere that I have to deal with down here in Boston. But I am still sad to report that weather does exist there. It's higher than 1,200 meters, so there are clouds. And at the moment of this sentence, we are on night 3 of clouds and haze. So we are imaging, but we're imaging poorly right now. So weather does exist, something we can't avoid. But before this, we had 2 straight weeks of clear skies, and that blew my mind. I have never had that long of a streak. The longest streak I had in my life was probably 5 days. And for a moment, I understood why people spend hundreds of hours on specific single objects is because you can. You have all the clear skies and the dark skies and the benefits of having a remote observatory where you don't have to set up and break down every single night. And with that in mind, since the observatory is in such a remote location, the internet speeds aren't what I'm used to. Here I get gigabit internet, and I'm used to downloading and uploading large files in minutes at most. But the internet there isn't as fast, so waiting for data to come in, making sure that the remote desktop, it's a little bit choppier than what I'm used to in my backyard. It took a little bit getting used to, but that's also a huge reason why if you have a setup in a remote location without good internet, why you'd want to automate it as much as you can. And I'm happy to say that what we worked on here, the imaging sessions, they are about 95% automated. The only thing we're missing is the roof status, and I believe that KKRO is working on a way to provide that to us. And when we have that, I can pretty safely plan out the next month of imaging. I think it's safe to say that I am now addicted to Bortle 1 skies and addicted to southern hemisphere skies. I would absolutely love to have something more permanent there, even if it's not my own gear, maybe a long-term rental. Our current rental is 3 months long, and we are talking about extending it for at least another 3 months, just because we want to get the next season's objects if we can. And rentals like this is super easy because All the hardware is maintained by the staff at the observatory, so we don't have to worry about that. It's all maintained and well taken care of. The only thing we have to worry about is software and setting it up and making sure that we know what we are doing. So who runs KKRO? The two main players are Peter Dunsby and Sean Overmeyer. Peter Dunsby is a professor of gravitation and cosmology at the Department of Mathematics and Applied Mathematics at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. I will link to his Wikipedia page below. And I'll be interviewing both of them on this channel in a couple of weeks. I have a list of questions that I'll be asking them, but if you want to add your own questions, let me know in the comments below. Depending on the timing and the questions you're asking, I may add them to the interview. KKRO is fairly new, and I'd love to see them be successful. It is a beautiful reserve from the photos I've seen. I would love to be able to visit one day, and I believe there's actually a 4-star accommodations on the reserve, which is pretty handy, so reason to visit. So KKRO provides the gear, so what do you have to bring if you're thinking about doing something remote, whether it's at this observatory or some other remote observatory? As I mentioned, the only thing you really need to know is software. At KKRO, the two main capture software that they provide is the ASI Air and Nina. And luckily for me, I know Nina pretty well. And in this project, I'm able to actually practice a lot of the things I learned about advanced imaging in Nina and put them into use. I try to do some of that in my backyard here, but with unlimited skies, I'm not able to fully utilize everything. But at this observatory, I've actually been able to just put everything I know into Nina and let it go, and it works really well. So that's actually been really great for me as a learning experience. I love learning, and you can bet that I will share what I learn with all of you eventually. The rig there is almost fully automated. Like I said, it's about 95%, so we're just waiting on roof status. If that happens while we're still there, I will consider that fully automated, and I can plan out weeks and weeks in advance pretty easily. And with that said, I have a big announcement to make. I will be giving 2 talks at the upcoming NEAC conference, the Northeast Astro Imaging Conference, from April 9th to the 10th. I'll also be at NEAF that following weekend. My first topic will be advanced imaging in Nina. We rented this telescope at this observatory before I found out that I was going to be talking at this conference, but it worked out so well. If I wasn't talking here, I would mostly be talking about a lot of the theories about how things would work and sharing some of the experiences I've had with my gear in my backyard at my astronomy club's field when I travel. But now, because of the work I've been able to do at this observatory, I have some really good content that I can share with anyone who attends that talk. And of course, depending on how well it goes, I will probably turn that talk into a video for this channel in the future. And I'm really excited about it. And my second talk is going to be about my serial scripts, the stacking scripts that I've created for smart telescopes and OSC preprocessing. So I'll be putting out a couple of patch updates over the next couple of weeks, just so I have some more updates to talk about at the conference. If you're going to attend NEAC or NEAF, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see you at the conference. I'm not prepared at all for either of these talks. We have several projects going on at the same time at this observatory, and we're not even close to finishing any of them. We're only on week 3 of this, and we have a couple months left with talks of extending further so that we can finish all of these projects. I already shared the Tarantula Nebula with you, and I'll share this image of the Statue of Liberty Nebula that's also part of a larger project that we're putting together. This is only about 6 hours of data, and it got me excited about the full project. And the conditions of the sky there are so good that even single exposures look amazing. This is a 10-minute exposure of the Carina Nebula in dual narrowband, and it just blew my mind the first time I saw this. And if you're wondering what about the RGB non-dual narrowband filter, well, this is it. And there is no gradient here. This looks amazing. This is a 5-minute single exposure taken about 10 minutes before I started making this video. We're looking forward to collecting more data on all of these. We're not even close to finishing any of these projects. And that's what I find really exciting. We learned when we started renting this gear is that we don't know anything about the southern skies. At home, when I'm at home, I can tell you roughly where things are, the constellations, where things are going to be. But in the southern hemisphere, aside from the big stuff like the Magellanic Clouds, Tarantula Nebula, the Carina Nebula, I don't know anything else, right? Except that, hey, Orion is upside down there. So learning the southern sky has been really exciting. So if you happen to know some of it, or if you happen to know other objects there that we should image, let me know below. Because again, I don't know about it. I'm still researching and I am loving every second of it. I planned and still plan to do live streams from the observatory. Life and the internet hasn't really let me do that so far, but be on the lookout. It'll probably happen without a lot of warning. It's just going to be that, all the stars line up and I'm able to get online. The server works, the internet works, everything works, it's clear, and I'm able to image with you. Since they are about 7 hours ahead of me here, it'll probably be an earlier live stream than what you would normally see from my channel, where I usually go live at like midnight Eastern time. I may be able to do it at the daytime. We haven't yet discussed data sharing. As we get closer to finishing projects, we'll probably discuss this amongst myself, Dave, and Chris. And we'll definitely keep you on the loop on where we are with sharing data. Not yet sure if that's going to happen, but I know it's going to be something that some of you will be wondering about. And I just want to say that throughout this video, I kept calling it the Kagakama Reserve Observatory. It's actually the Kagakama Remote Observatory. The location they're at is the Kagakama Reserve, so that's been on my mind. So I do apologize for calling it Reserve instead of Remote, but just wanted to say that I've been saying it wrong the whole time, and I didn't notice it until I was just about done editing. And with that said, I want to send a huge thanks to all of my patrons on Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and members on YouTube. Thank you all so much for your support. If you'd like to support me and the work I do, consider checking me out on those platforms. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything. If you have a rig at a remote observatory, I would love to hear from you about where you're doing this, what rig you have, and how you're liking it. Because after this is over, I'm seriously thinking about sending one of my rigs down somewhere. Maybe not the Southern Hemisphere, maybe somewhere here in the United States. Get some Portal 1 access to the northern skies, because there's still so many things that I haven't imaged, even though, some people have imaged everything. And again, if you have any questions for Peter or Sean from the Kagakama Reserve Observatory for the interview in a couple of weeks, let me know below. And I hope to bring you some really cool images from down under. Am I offending Australians in this video? Cheers, guys.